Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Kemau to Cape Palmer, mountain back to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Boakai, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talking about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another edition of Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jah, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition of Friday Night Debate, we're going to be discussing some trending current issues. There are a lot of things happening in Liberia we want to talk about. For instance, the House ordered the Yekeh Koluba representative, Yekeh Koluba investigated. President Boakai has asked the central bank governor not to attend the spring meeting. Why? What's going on? Is it fair? Also, motorcyclists warn of mass protest in the wake of the no-go zone enforcement. The government of Liberia is saying motorbikes should not be in certain part of the country. And they say, no way. This is our living, and we're going to stage a protest. We're also going to talk about the mass dismissal of EPS officers. In fact, these guys, they are now protesting. They call that illegal protest, and some of them have been arrested. Senate committee to probe $21 million road contract awarded by the Ministry of Public Works. These and more we're going to be debating tonight. Let me welcome from the nation's capital, Jimmy Eastman. Welcome, Jimmy.
Hey, Dennis, it's a pleasure being here. Thank you.
Let me also welcome a strong Boakai supporter, Mr. Aliyu Samba Kamara. Vali, welcome.
Yes, sir.
Your voice is not clear. Come again.
Thanks for having me. Is it clear enough now?
Yeah, that's good now. You know,
Okay.
Ali, when you're going somewhere and the water is flooded, it's overflowing its banks, what do?
You turn around and go back. The water will dry.
Well, gentlemen, welcome, and more people are coming. But before we even get started tonight with our topics, let's just have some time to see how you're doing. what are some of the news stories and current issues in Liberia that are not on the topic tonight that kind of concern you? You want to talk about briefly before we start? Jimmy, anything outside the scope of our discussion tonight that you want to pinpoint?
Yeah, I'm kind of concerned that we have not seen a consolidated effort by the government to address the problems of the everyday Liberians. I think it's very important.
What does that mean? Everyday Liberian.
I'm gonna land. I think it's very important that the administration shows sensitivity to the plight of every Liberian. Liberians have problems paying tuition. We have problems even putting food on the table. We have problems with electricity. The heat is amazingly repressive. All these things, I want the administration to talk to the people so that the people realize that they are sensitive to their plight, that they are responsive to the solutions that will help them. And I think that is the way you connect with the people. Eventually, when you do not connect, when you do not show enough interest in the everyday affairs of ordinary Liberians, you will have a disconnect, and we will see other things arising from that. So I would have loved to see more actions, more things coming from the administration talking to the people to address these issues.
And Jimmy, give me some examples here. And what if the government does not have the capacity to do so? But give an example of what the government can do to address the day-to-day issues that you talk. What are some of those day-to-day issues and what you exactly want the government to do?
Well, first of all, let them know that you are aware of them. Okay? I think just sometimes telling somebody, never mind, is significant. Let them know that you're not neglecting them. There are a lot of rumors going around, and you need to allay the fears that they've made they made a choice. Now that they made the choice, they are left abandoned. I think sometimes you don't have a ready solution, but when you talk to people, we studied this the other day, just by how you talk to somebody, even when they're on a deathbed, it can help relieve the pressure, relieve the anguish that they are feeling just by talking to them. And that's why I say it is important to talk to our people so they know you are addressing the problems.
Thank you. Mr. Kamara, what's concern you?
Yeah.
Anything you want to talk about before we start?
Well, I wouldn't say concern. I was really, impressed by the Honorable JMB's unexpected tour to very important facilities, the airport being one of them, and he saw firsthand. He didn't send an entourage. Admire that, but particularly when he went to the people with disability, when he went to their center, before he went to visit them, he had already arranged, renovation and to provide more facility for them before he even went there. So when he went there and did the inspection, he just told us, before I even came here, I've already got the engineer and they're working on renovating your building as soon as possible, including your dormitories and other instructional materials. That was very impressive. That's why we say, Joe Boakai says to people, the people who are supposed to talk, let them talk. The people who are supposed to work, let them work. And he left it at that. Yeah. Simple.
Thank you.
Why are you laughing?
No,
what made you laugh, Jenna?
No, I understand. Let me go to Jerome. Welcome, Mr. Gaiman.
Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Great. Mr. Gaiman, we have a lot of things to discuss.
Oh, yes.
Besides what we are discussing tonight, anything you want to share briefly before we start on maybe what you were impressed with, like Mr. Ali Kamara, or what concerns you, like Jimmy, or just something outside the scope of our discussion tonight you want to hit on before we get started?
Well, obviously, the massive failure of Joseph Boakai is a concern. You see the country literally on fire. We have the man who is supposed to be considered a man of rule of law, and the champion of the Liberian people just allow a man who was charged with attempted murder. Like they say in Liberia or in Liberian law, if you don't want to convict anybody, all you got to say is they don't have insufficient evidence. That's all you have to say, and there where we are. A man who attempted to kill a Liberian just walked. Why? That if there's fear in Liberia about sanction, that anything that has to do with America, people are not very jittery, and they don't want to be mentioned in that United States report that the judicial system is corrupt or this and that. So your best bet is to not get on the wrong side of America. So you let a guilty fellow walk and say insufficient evidence.
Right. And that's the thing. That what concerned me also along those same lines is the way there's so much distrust in our system that we are able to jump to a conclusion as soon as we see something, because maybe we're used to being cheated or not having justice most of the time. Because I don't know the details to this case, but I think a lot of us are jumping to conclusions and say, well, the judge is being bribed, or they are afraid of American sanction, or because the man is a white man. Okay. I was talking to a criminal investigator today, a former CID Liberian. I said, well, how was the investigation? Who did the criminal investigation? Because we are only looking at the case from the perspective of the lawyers prosecuting the case. For instance, we did not, I don't know if they have like a medical person to as a witness to examine the wound. Do we have any of those things? How was it investigated? How was evidence gathered? But we are so focused on the prosecution side of it. And so, but we are kind of correct, because we've seen things like that happen so many times. So when we see something that resembles that, we are quick to jump to a conclusion that indeed this is one of the injustices, and this is one of the travesty of justice that is taking place. Let me welcome Mr. Mohammed Sharif. He is FOL political analyst and a proud product alum of Waplo Institute from River G. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dennis. It's always good to be here.
And thank you. I saw the appointment list from River G. The entire River G county was appointed. There were nobody for River G alone. I saw 47 people appointed. I mean, one group of Grandmaster County has 7 people appointed.
Dennis, is that true?
I think Sando got 6.
There's a lot, because they are appointing commissioners, district superintendents, and there are a lot of people.
And 5 city mayors from River G. Grandmaster County got 1 city mayor. River G got 5 city mayors. Wow. Yeah. But Mr. Judge, just before you go, for those of us who are old enough, understand, I think in 1978, when Joseph Berry was killed in a Lebanese man's store for stealing a candy. They choke him, they say he should vomit the candy, and they choke him to death. And his lawyer at the time was member of the House, I think it was Richard Henry, who was the representative of the family.
No, his firm.
Well, that's fine. His firm. That's correct. And that family were able to sneak out of the country, and the death of Joseph Berry, up to today's date, they have not gotten justice. So when you see these things, And then I don't know if you saw or you heard the audio that were recorded, upon which the House is now about to launch an investigation. If you listen to that, whoever recorded that may have been somebody who was injured, who have been forced to listen and take a plea, but take a deal. Recorded that. It's an 18 minutes tape. And those people that were on that tape, they cannot deny who they are. Yeah. So when you see these things, what the folks say, you have been burned by hot water, any water scares you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome all viewers from across the globe. Tonight, we're going to be looking at some trending issues. And let's start with Yekeh Koluba, right? Yekeh had been making acquisition of, started with when President Boakai donated to the group, the burn victims in Salala. Since then, he's also accusing of bribery and all kinds of things. His colleagues, the House ordered him investigated. And they say because of the investigation surrounding Mr. Koluba breach of rules 40 and 41 of the House that have to do with proper decorum, how a representative is supposed to behave. Representative Koluba had said other things. Remember when he was displaying a check, say, well, this is bribe and all that, Rachel Kuhn, and all these things that he has said. The House chose to look at the insult side. So let's look at the House ordering the investigation of Representative Yekeh Koluba. Let me start with Mr. Kamara. Mr. Kamara, what do you make of this?
Yeah, the representatives, I think they're doing the right thing. Because they're all being dragged in the mud by Yekeh Koluba. Remember, whatever Yekeh Koluba does on social media does not only end by Liberians listening to it. There are other people around the world that listen to these things. For a grown man who has a wife and children to just be cussing. No, it's one thing to express yourself, but it's another thing to start insulting other people's wives. At which time do we have some respect for people? As per this thing about Yekeh Koluba was flagging some kind of paper for furniture and stuff. Yekeh Koluba today is making noise. He wants his furniture because he got the paper for the furniture and never got his furniture. He wants that furniture. If you really want the furniture, then why are you making noise about the furniture? So the representative realized that Yekeh was just making noise. They don't know anything about what Yekeh was saying. But as far as the insults and other things, it was clear evidence. Yekeh had a whole press conference just insulting somebody's mother, somebody's wife. This is a representative, for God's sake. They got to chastise this guy.
He's been doing this for the past 6 years. Why now, Mr. Kamara?
And I've always said that he should be chastised.
Even representative, they just
even during the days he was insulting Judge Weah. That is not how you carry yourself.
No, I get it. Why is the House looking at it now? Is it because he's insulting somebody else and now Weah?
The House looked at it during Weah. In fact, it was brutal. Yekeh Koluba did not get paid for several months. They went to the Supreme Court. Yekeh Koluba won, and the Weah administration still didn't pay Yekeh Koluba. So yes, he was really chastised. Just a stubborn guy.
Thank you. Let me welcome Mr. Kalawo Gonglo, the African Mav genus or progenitor. Mr. Gonglo, welcome. What do you make of Yekeh Koluba being order investigated for question?
I don't know the details of that, Dennis. But first, let me say I'm happy to be back at FOL tonight. I'm not too sure I'm going to end the show, but I wanted to come back here and particularly when I saw my brother Alio Kamara, who is a worker protege. I wanted to hear what he would say based on the performance of the government so far, to have the opportunity to interact with him. But on the Yekeh Koluba issue, it's just sickly that the Unity Party people who were actually happy, including Alio Kamara, because I never heard Alio made that statement for the past 6 years, anywhere, even on his, on his social media page, about not being happy with Yekeh Koluba's conduct, who were actually sharing for Yekeh Koluba and Prophet Key, today beginning to distance themselves from these two people. Because Prophet Key is very prolific. He has actually turned his cursing arsenal towards President Boakai. I mean, I watched this guy and I was like, is this same guy who was just praising President Boakai in October last year? You know, I mean, he said things that I can't even repeat on air. The same thing with Yekeh Koluba. In the case of Yekeh Koluba, he and President Boakai campaign, they shook him, they took picture. At the same time, he was insulting a sitting president, the very office that they were fighting to go sit in. They didn't even have time, they didn't even have the moment to say, let's respect the institution of the presidency. But he said these things at mega rallies of the UP with thunderous applause for him. Today he's doing exactly the same thing that brought you guys to power. You know, so I think you should just allow him, because Yekeh is who he is, you know, and that's why got him re-elected, and that's why got Unity Party elected. So let's just Yekeh continue. Yekeh is Yekeh. That's all. They just go.
Is that an excuse? What if somebody is doing something wrong, and you say, well, because he did it before, let him continue? Is that
no? What Yekeh is doing is not wrong. Cursing is not against the law. There is no violation of the law here. We are just talking about normal say civilized behavior. Civilized behavior is not legislated. It's not law. It's not a violation of any law. In Liberia, we have the Table Mountain Declaration that you can hold. You can say anything you want to say to any public figure or someone that you consider public figure. And if they are not happy, they can go file a civil lawsuit against you. But
let me bring to your attention that the House is using their rules. Rule number 41.1 is quoted in part saying, without prejudice to the provision of this rule, every member shall be honest and transparent at any time. Rule 40.2, no member may introduce false information or unsubstantiated matter pretending that is true. 42.1 requires that every member of the House shall, at any place, keep the prestige and dignity of the House and refrain from undesirable acts.
Well, Dennis, that is the last part. Dignity of the House. Dignity of the House. This is a house that Jeremiah Kun was a member of the Ways and Means Committee. This is a house that Thomas Fala was member of the Ways and Means Committee. This is a house that Sir Joseph and others. This is a house that has produced millionaires. Is that dignity of the House?
Thank you.
So dignity is probably defined differently in Liberia than really it is. So on the question of evidence, look, the House is a political theater. Even if they want to go there, I can take a bet on this. Yekeh is not going to be ejected, because you know what? There are people in the legislature who believe they can use Yekeh to say or do things that they cannot do themselves. So they will protect him. I can tell you that for free.
Thank you. Let me go to your colleague. When you were in SOUP, he was in SAM, Mr. Mohammed Sharif. Mr. Sharif, what do you make of Yekeh's conduct and the position the House has taken?
Hey, Dennis, thanks for the question. I disagree with my comrade. Yekeh Koluba should be reprimanded. He is a member of the House of Representatives. He has on several occasions brought the House into disrepute. Yekeh Koluba has threatened the peace of the country time and time and again. You heard Yekeh Koluba says that if the police touches me, I'm going to use my machete and cut off somebody's hand and head. I have my gun. You know, I understand Yekeh is a trained killer. He was part of the guerrillas who damaged Liberia. I understand all of that. But at this point in time in his life, there seems to be no transition from the fighting days to the current days of civilization. There is no iota of civilized blood, it seems, in his DNA. And so for that reason, Yekeh Koluba, at the very least, should be reprimanded by the Honorable House of Representatives. if not expelled. If I were in the House of Representatives, I would introduce a motion to expel Representative Yekeh Koluba for bringing the House into disrepute. All that he's doing at this time, he's the only thing he's known for is protest. I mean, he's a perpetual protester, and instead of joining all the different protests around the city, why don't you introduce legislation to make the lives of people around the country better? There's no legislation to his name. So this whole thing, Dennis, every time I say something, on one side, and then, sometimes the UP people would disagree if it's not to their liking, or the CDC people would disagree if it's not to their liking. But I'm here to say maybe this is to the liking of my brother Aliyu and others, is that Yekeh Koluba is a disgrace to the Liberian political system. And Yekeh Koluba, again, is the product of the years of war in Liberia. So this is the very reason why it is so important that we take a holistic approach towards the outcome of the war, not just trying and indicting people and sending people to jail, but there are others who are going to need serious rehabilitation if the country is to move forward, and Yekeh Koluba is one of those.
Thank you, Mr. Gilman, the unapologetic citizen. What's your take on Yekeh Koluba and the role or the decision the House has reached to investigate him?
Well, when we talk about the houses being brought to disrepute, the House is bringing themselves to disrepute by just actually trying to even investigate this man. Yekeh Koluba had, like he said, his district, because of Unity Party's support, the CDC did not win one precinct in his district. They brought people from everywhere and put every money, every dime they had in that district to make sure that he wins. Now you talk about disrepute. Let's look at in the House. A House member impregnated a minor from Grand Jide, a man who impregnated a minor. And the young girl, the law was looking, they absconded with the girl. And today, up to today's date, that particular case have not been resolved because they took the girl and took her to the zoo bush. And the zoo people say, your constitutional law, there's a demarcation between your law and our law. You can't come here. And that law died down. Recently in the election, Representative Francis Yimale, he said, I'm a killer. If I see Falabuzos anywhere, I'm going to mark him. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to buy 25 motorbikes, 333, 75 men. You can have all the police officers. I'm going to kill him. And nothing happened. So how now can you say this man brought a report for bribery, and you left the bribery charge, and you say you're going to investigate the insult? Now, if you're looking at insult and bribery, which one carries the most weight? But you said you are going to leave the bribery that this man has or evidence. And he filed a formal complaint to the Department of Justice. They left that. And they say we are going to take him on because he's insulting someone. So you talk about disrepute. The House has brought itself to disrepute. That
let me see what Jimmy says about that. I mean, I think Mr. Gilman has a point here that you look at bribery charges and you leave in there and talk about cussing. Which one has more? Which one is criminal?
I think Yekeh Koluba has etched himself a unique place in Liberian politics. He's known as a person who shoots from the hip, who speaks his mind, and who speaks to power, regardless of who he is. We've seen him speak against WIA in derogatory terms, but we also see that he's now begun his speech against the Boakai administration. There's a element of the Liberian population that appreciates what he does. And I agree the fact that if we're going to be ethical, then we have to be ethical all around. We can't selectively be ethical. We can be ethical. Oh, it's wrong to cuss or to mock cuss, but it's all right to embezzle and to steal and to dupe the Liberian people out of their money. No, Yekeh is serving a purpose, and that's why the Liberian people support him.
Dennis, Dennis, 1 second.
If I can add one
Dennis, 1 second. Dennis, one
All right.
second. So
Okay,
when
go with 30 seconds and Caleb 30 seconds before we get to
Sure.
Mr. Dooley.
Sure, Dennis, you know, I am one, I can tell you, I am one of those people who also shoot from the hip. I think you know my other side, Dennis. You know the other side of me, Dennis. You're the only one on this show that know my other side. But, you know, I only do that when I am attacked. And so Yekeh Koluba is showing the side that whether or not he is on a civilized podium, whether or not he's stuck in business, whether or not, it doesn't matter. Why is he threatening the peace of the country? He did this to George Weah, and we all said it was good. We were wrong. We were wrong. So now, should we continue to be wrong? No, I don't think so. He's threatening the peace of the country, and that is what matters right now.
Thank you. 30 seconds for you, Mr. Gonglo.
Yeah, what I was saying, you know, just to take a cue from Jimmy, what Yekeh is doing, Yekeh is not doing this in isolation. Guys, like German said, Jerome said, Yekeh did not get paid by the Weah administration for 6 years. How you think we're flying out of the country? How you think we're eating? There are Liberians collecting money, giving it to him. Both politicians and ordinary people. Yekeh won re-election. To my surprise, I was in Monrovia. I went to the World Bank office. I have friends working there. I was surprised when Yekeh is ready to speak. Foreigners working at the World Bank, they say, oh, the mayor of the people is about to speak. They glued to that radio. And all the Liberians, most Liberians that I saw, they left their districts to come register in district 10 just to vote for Yekeh. And I was like, are you guys crazy? I can't even vote for this man here. But you guys are very educated professionals. He said, my brother, where we sit here at the World Bank, what that guy talking is not good for the country. It's good for the country. That's what we support. I'm telling you.
Thank you. Let me go to Mr. Brooklyn. Mr. Brooklyn, in my town, they say if you invite a drunkard to your party, be prepared to clean your vomit. Is the UP cleaning Yekeh's vomit now?
Well, I think that saying is right in place, Dennis. And I'm actually encouraged when Brother Mohammed said we were wrong then. So that simply means we need to change course. Now, just because there's resonance with what he does, doesn't make it right. The Liberian people are tired. They are frustrated. They will jump on any bandwagon that they feel speaks for them. Whether the manner in which the person is speaking, whether the way the person goes about it is right or not, the Liberian people will jump on that bandwagon simply because that's one way they might know to express their frustration with the existing system. This is how they know to express their anger. So because this seem fester from the CDC government to now, I don't know why people are now pointing it out as if this is something new. He did the same thing with the Weah government, and people were cheering him on. So, and in a sense, it emboldened him. Just because he wasn't paid for 6 years, there is a mechanism in place that he's supposed to follow to get his money to him. That's why those laws are on the books. But you see, we know who Yekeh Koluba is before he became a representative. And even now as a representative, yes, he does come across as somebody who speaks for the masses. He does come across as someone who speaks his mind, but there's limit to which you can express yourself, to which you can say what you want to say. I mean, there is no sense of, in most of what he does, there's no decency in it as a representative. There are certain things that he should be above, but he's not. So even if he could be saying the right thing, But if you're not saying the right thing the right way, doesn't make it right. So I think it's about time we change course and stop cheering him on and hold him to book.
Thank you. Mr. Nambwe, insult, you've been in politics longer than I do. Sometimes it's even okay to throw rotten eggs at politicians and rotten tomatoes, right? So insults are not that bad as we may think, right? They are all permissible, especially if the person is speaking your language. Also, we are acting like the insults that people cheer, they're only happening in the house or on talk shows. People that insult, abuse, denigrate, they are probably the most popular, right? So why are we surprised? Why are we enraged? But my question to you here is the house right to do what they're doing to Yekeh?
Well, the house has its own rules, and I read somewhere where I think Representative Briggs is quoting some rules. There you go.
Yeah, 40.
So yeah, they do have their rules, and I think it is far from us to judge the house's action outside. They have their own operating rules. So if they think that what Honorable Koluba is doing is in violation of their rules, I think they have a right to bring him in. We know the House censures their own members here, even in the states here. The House has a right to bring down the rules on a member if the member is found to be in violation of their operating procedures. So if they say Yekeh's speech, his attitude is in violation of the rule, I think they should go ahead and censure him. I am in agreement. I think his presentation is unbecoming of an honorable person. I think someone needs to call him in. He needs to fashion his presentation in a way that, because he does make a lot of sense. He brings a lot of issues to the fore that many people would rather, push under the rug. He's playing a role, but his presentation is unacceptable. I, in particular, find it offensive. I listen to him when he speaks because he brings the information. But I think there is a manner and form in which he needs to learn to deliver his speech so that he's taken seriously. You can't come on national radio or in the media and talk to the presidency. Is Joe Boakai is not Joe Boakai anymore. He is the president of the Republic of Liberia. He represents the country. So when you're talking to him now, you're talking to the presidency. So I think he should be told you can't talk like that. Is he wrong for saying what he's saying? Absolutely not. I think many people should be saying what he's saying. Unfortunately, not many are prepared to do that. So I think if the House feel that they should censure him because he's in violation of the rule, they should do so.
Thank you. Let me welcome the political bulldog, Mr. Anthony here. Yekeh has been, and I really like your point, Jay Victor, that the House has its rules. And besides Mr. Sia, besides just insulting, they're also talking about threats. They say, well, he's making false statements, things that can be substantiated. I thought if those are not substantiated, that's the time they should investigate him. But there is a tree, big tree when there is storm, and this tree is knocked down. It's a big tree. It's useless. Nobody cares for it. We call it core. When core is knocked down, nobody cares. But nobody knows the effect or the magnitude of this storm. Nobody even notices the storm if it knocked down core. But as soon as they knock down the cola tree, everybody is aware. Everybody starts to panic. Now the curse is on Boakai, and now people are all panicking because cola tree is knocked down. When it was knocking down core, everybody thought it was okay. Mr. C.
Dennis, thank you. I see that the house is full and it's good. I think we're going to learn a lot here today. And I want to say thanks to those who are following. Please do us a favor and share the broadcast. Dennis, if anybody is eloquent now, you are the one. I mean, you couldn't have nailed it so effectively. That look, if you invite a drunkard to a party, be prepared to clean his vomit. This is, a perfect situation. This is a unity party that invited Yekeh Koluba. We're talking about Joseph Boakai, who endorsed Yekeh, assigned Yekeh in the field, go and campaign for me. This was Joseph Boakai who hid his hand when was on this mission of raining insults on the presidency, on and all other leaders, and he was benefiting. He said no word to this man, that Lord Yekeh. You can't behave like this. Boakai is the elder statesman. He said no word. When this guy was misbehaving, the fact is, Yekeh is a representation of everything that is wrong with Liberia and everything that is true about Liberia right now. The way he conducts himself, this man is practically traumatized. This man's behavior is a display of the trauma that has engulfed him. There are many Liberians who are in that situation as a result of the conflict. Yekeh is an embodiment of that, and that is why responsible for the way he behaves. Now, the society is also part of that. This is a society during Owia's time. They seized the man baby's food. They denied this man his salary, and no one could go to his rescue, including the very Boakai and Cummings and other people that he was supporting. They could not help him. He stood alone. And so that anger embodying his tactics of speaking in the manner in which he has been doing it. The fact is, there are a lot of things this guy bring out that are true. And so when the Boakai people were cheering him on, they forgot that there's a parable in Mountain that, look, if you are part of the witchcraft, don't be too excited when it is time for your friend's child to be eaten, because your time is coming. This is a time for unity party. Dennis, I agree with my friend Mohammed Sharia. Yekeh behavior is unacceptable. It's unrepresentative of a representative of the Honorable House of Representatives. This man is a disgrace to us as a country. There are many young Liberians who want to be the Yekeh today. Imagine the number of support this guy gets. This man was not on pay. You saw the car he's driving. Range Rover Sports. White. Where did he get the money from? Obviously, he's working. But when was the last time he took pay? So this tells you, and you know about another talk show host who now you see him, he has money. Women are supporting this person. So Yekeh is a representation of everything that is right and wrong with Liberia. That is the paradox. This man must be represented. I agree with J. Victor Nambe. The House of Representatives has rules. If you want to be part of that body, you must abide by the rules. Do not do so, they need to hold you accountable. Failure on the part of the House to hold the man accountable, then I will have zero respect for them whatsoever. Because if you cannot respect your own rules, we know you don't respect the LACC law. All the lawmakers are in violation, including the very Yekeh, who opens his mouth and talk nonsense. They are all in violation. So at least your own rules, enforce it. Stand for something for one.
Thank you. The executive governor of the Central Bank of Liberia, Mr. Aloysius Talu, will not be attending this year's World Bank Spring meeting due to a request from President Joseph Boakai that he remain in Liberia to assist with the ongoing IMF-approved forensic audit of the bank. Jimmy, you work in government. Is the president right to say, don't go to this other country?
Wait a minute. I never really worked in government.
You work with LEC, that government.
That is an extension of government. I will accept that.
All right. Let me ask Caleb, who work in government on the level of minister. Let's start with
Dennis. Let's hold Jimmy accountable. Jimmy, you work in government. LEC,
come on, Jimmy. You gotta own your past.
Okay, listen. Okay, let me own my past. I work for the LEC, which is an extension of the government. It is really an entity that
Jimmy, it's okay. Let's talk about Aloysius Talu being stopped from going to the IMF meeting because he got to help.
I know that Aloysius Talu will not hear me, but what is he going to do there? Is it that important? They go on all these trips. What have we seen in Liberia? Well, have they moved?
That's a different story, though.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say, if the chief executive finds that it's necessary that he stays for an audit, okay, he's not. He must have seen that his attending there will not make that much of a difference, and that is why the chief executive said, "My man, you stay here. We have other things that we want to do." If anything, they could send a representative. But I totally agree that if his presence is required for an audit, and as opposed to sitting down to this IMF spring, what is it, training or whatever they're doing? Spring meeting.
Yeah,
I totally agree with. I wish I could see the chief executive exercise more power over his officials like this that he did. He needs to set example on each of them, let them know who they're working for. He's working for the Liberian people, not gallivanting all around and not bringing in the results. I totally agree with it.
Mr. Gonglo, does this? Mr. Gonglo, I mean, you are in government. Maybe you saw people going on conferences, and if you have 5 days to be on a conference, the president said, "Don't go. You should be here to assist with the forensic audit of the central bank." Is the president right?
Well, all travel by presidential appointees are actually approved by the office of the president. I mean, before you guys leave, you work with the president. The office of the president is notified that this minister is head of social entities making this trip, and they have travel office at the Ministry of Finance that does all these different arrangements. But yes, the Ministry of State is notified. The minute they are informed. They don't just leave the country like that. Yeah. So, but in the case of audit,
So Gonglo, you are freezing.
He's frozen.
Oh, yeah. So if the president believes that there are grave issues bordering the economy, because when you leave and go to the IMF or spring meeting, you are going to discuss the economy. That's all it's about. Liberal qualification to take loan and all this stuff. So if the central bank governor that should be talking this thing has credibility issue, the best thing is to stay away from that. Because you might undermine the process of getting donor support if you have some explanation to do with your performance. So if that is the truth, I'm just saying if, and it's a big if. I don't even know. I've heard that the president stopped the central bank governor. For what reason, I've not seen in black and white whether it's in fact true. I've heard it in phone conversation, but I've not read anything written. Is that true? Was he stopped?
Yeah. The president has given approval to members of the delegation, but given the ongoing forensic audit endorsed by the International Monetary Fund and the Government Audit Commission by the GAC at the central bank, the president directs that you stay in the country. That was the message from the presidential affairs minister to the governor.
Okay, then that's official. So I don't think there's an issue right there. It could only indicate that he's probably in trouble, potential trouble, to reach out her.
So the meeting is going for, they say that this is the spring meeting. There is a gathering of central bankers, ministers of finance and development, parliamentarians, private sector executive, representative from civil society, and so on and so on. But Mr. Dukle, I'm not going to call you Boakai tonight. I know you sense this man. Mr. Dukle, Mr. Boakai, let's face it. Mr. Talu was appointed by WIA. And since Mr. Boakai took office, there has been this little friction with 10 employees, especially those ones that he met there. So tell him, Talu not to go. People are looking at it that it's witch hunting. He got something on Talu, right? Because that's not his man. Do they have a point?
No, I don't think they have a point. Simply because, look, these people are supposed to be civil servants. These people loyalty is supposed to be to Liberia and not to individuals who appoint them. Because their failures and their success is going to reflect on Liberia, not on them. So I don't see any justification as to the friction originating from the fact that he was appointed by the defeated government. But you see, this is part of the difficulties we have in Liberia. How we constantly try to normalize things that are not good practices, and over time we tend to see them as normal. Now, the presence of this gentleman at this spring meeting, what good is it going to be doing for us compared to if he stays home and follow through with what the president is asking him to do? So I'm not sure if there's any justifiable reason to say the president is picking a bone on him because he's not his appointee. I don't know, but it doesn't make sense to me. I don't think I don't have any proof to the contrary, but it would look it would be very childish to me for this to be considered a witch hunt and all those things. But again, what will Liberia benefit if he attends anyways?
Right. And that's a separate question there. But
yeah, but
so is it not childish if you feel that picked on because you are not his friend? But let me go to Aliyu. Aliyu, here's the thing, right? And maybe that's why people are afraid of audit, because audit should be routine. So if you are auditing, I do not believe that Mr. Talu was implicated in anything. He's not being investigated. They are auditing the central bank. So if you are telling him stay to assist, don't you think that's concerning?
No, if we're looking at the line of politics, yes, it would be concerning.
No, be careful when the shoe is on other foot, Aliyu. Go ahead.
If we're looking at how the bureaucracy works, then it doesn't mean anything, because all they need is for the central bank to be represented. It does not have to be the CEO of the central bank.
Right.
All right.
And
so
it doesn't have to be
maybe
the CEO to assist. Anybody else can assist with this forensic audit.
Yeah, but who has that mandate? Who has that authority to determine who stays and who goes? So the man who has the authority to determine that, in his wisdom, believes that the central bank governor can better assist, and maybe this at this particular moment in time, things that, don't forget something, you got to pay attention to certain things. If you look at Joseph Boakai's office budget, the issue of travel is almost non-existent in his budget. That is to tell you that he's not interested in all these trips.
Everybody
the
has
reason from what I heard,
the other people are going. Other people are going besides Talu. So he's not doing this to cut down the travel budget.
No, but let me tell you what I'm telling you. If you look at his budget, his office budget, travel is almost non-existent in there. And what I'm trying to tell you is and this is what I heard from the grapevine. Some of those people who even went over there based on specific recommendation from his advisors. According to what I was told, Joseph Boakai wanted only 3 people. 3 to go over there. So stopping Talu at this time, when as we speak, they are auditing the central bank right now. Stopping Talu at this time, I think, was appropriate. But I just want to expand. I just want to clarify and say something about this before I turn the floor over, Dennis. I heard my brother Eastman say some guy named Yekeh Kolbach can hit above the belt. I didn't expect to hear that. Imagine me or somebody, come and take my picture somewhere and expose it. And because it's politics, and I'm on one side, Eastman is on one side, and I begin to insult Eastman, I begin to insult his wife, when Eastman had nothing to do with it. Eastman did not take my picture. Somebody else took my picture. And Brother Eastman said that was justified because Yekeh hits below the belt, above the belt.
He didn't say it was justified.
Well, he implied.
Thank you, Mr. Sharif.
You're a still campaigning, so no problem.
Yeah, Mr. Sharif, when we're in Guinea and working with the Guinean, when you try to dividing the food and you trying to kind of show this, that to be fair, because those guys were corrupt, and so they will tell you, look, if you can't eat, we can eat. What Aliyu is saying is that because Boakai like to travel, so Talu should not travel.
I didn't say that.
Mr. Sharif, what do you make of this? Does it look like Talu has been targeted? Because this is audit. You are auditing the central bank. You are not auditing Talu. And then you are determining, okay, sit down and say, let the other people go.
Yeah, I think it's clear down to the bank governor that, yes, that that's so clear. You are the target, without without being told in many words. So I will feel that way certainly if I was he. But you mentioned something in the intro there, which I thought is important. This is why audits, shouldn't be routine. This should be a consistent process. It shouldn't be, once in a while. You have a new administration. George, we have never audited anybody. That's why we're sitting here talking about this. Never audited anybody. When the previous administration handed off to him, I mean, he gave them a clean slate, and then he started again all this mess. And then when he got off, never audited anybody before he got off the
I don't think so. I think the GAC had been auditing people. So if he said he never audited anybody,
okay, maybe that may okay, let's say he has. Okay, what has been the result of those audits? And comparing to the number of people, the number of employees that are participating in the Liberian civil service in the public sector, would you say the number of people audited is 10%, even up to 10%? I don't think so. So that is a very low number to audit. That's number one. Number two is when you audit, then what? So you don't just audit and archive this somewhere so that this is collecting, so that the report is collecting dust. I mean, this is what has happened over and over and again. What has happened to those audits? Nothing has happened. Again, when the previous administration that he succeeded, the Ellen Johnson administration handed off to him, he gave them a clean slate and he moved on. And I thought that was a mistake. And he continued the same process. So Joseph Boakai is going in a different direction. And that is important to note, that the fact that he's going in a different direction, that is commendable. To me, it's commendable. You should at least show the commitment to good governance. And auditing is part of that process of good governance. So if the bank governor has to stay to assist with an audit, I don't think that, he should be surprised. None of us should be surprised that, if others are asked to leave, but then, you are to stay to assist with the audit. If the president wanted him to go, someone else can assist with it, right? But I think in this situation, when you are targeted, when you're the target of a certain process, you can almost tell by the instruction that you receive. So this instruction smells to me that, he is the prime target of that audit in the National Bank.
Thank you. And the scope of the audit covers from 2018 to 2023 as part of the administration. They say their transparency drive. So this audit is almost complete. They want the governor to be there and provide some clarity. I mean, where is he going? They auditing your office and you're going away? I mean, Mr. Gilman.
Yes.
They're auditing your office. I know your audit have been, going through audits. Why is Mr. Talu in a hurry to leave? I think he should even volunteer to say, oh yeah, let me stay.
Well, just talking about the audit, and I'm going through my process here, because I get funding from the federal government, the county, and the state. When they doing my audit,
I want to see his office. I want to really go down there in Florida.
Listen, come on. When they doing my audit, they don't
Anthony was there. He saw that office.
Listen.
We're talking seriously in the office.
Listen. when they're doing audit, they don't even need me. My office is being audited. When the auditors come in, they go to my bookkeeper, they go to payroll, they bring their flash drive, and they put it in all my financial transactions. They don't need me. They don't need any clarity. The only time I would need clarity is when the audit is completed. They will come in and give you a suggestion as to what to do. Then they call it correction action plan. This is what we found. What would be your correction action plan? 6 months, 1 year, stuff of that nature. I don't have to be around. My job from fiscal year October 1 to September 30th, that's what they are auditing, the time period. My audits have been done. All my checks have been written. Everything has been done. They don't have anything to say to me. They are going and taking a copy of my transactions. That's why they are auditing. So for you to say you have to be there to audit,
to answer some questions.
To answer questions, it's strange for me to see.
No, Mr. Gamer, it shouldn't be strange, especially when they say this is a forensic audit.
Yeah, but forensic. What forensic? Now listen to this. The reason I'm saying this. Listen. The reason I'm saying this. If my audit letter comes to me that my audit is going to begin between this hour, this period to that period, they are coming to audit your fiscal year. They don't
but that depends on what they audited, and they can tell you which offices, specific offices they want to go to. So if your office has the CEO, if they say, well, we're coming to audit your office, your desk.
Mr. John.
The same way they will go to your bookkeeper. They will go to your bookkeeper, right? What if the bookkeeper is not there? Can they audit?
But they're not auditing the government. They're auditing the bank.
That's right. But
when they are coming, they will tell you specific files that you have to make available.
Mr. John, listen to this. Give me a few minutes here. The first thing is when they are auditing you, they do not have to quote anybody. You see the letter that you are talking about from the president or wherever that letter came from, they are dropping names by saying, as per the how do you call it, IMF have Joseph Boakai is auditing. Whether it is IMF, you don't use the IMF as a legitimizer. Now I'm saying this to say, let's look at another case in point here. The EPS. The EPS is
we'll come to the EPS.
So I'm coming to this. I'm saying that they are firing folks. They are using the identical terms and letter you are talking about. They are saying here, as per the GAC report, you are not qualified. They're not saying you are not qualified. They are saying they are doing it because somebody else says it. I'm saying you see the pattern. They say GAC say you have not reached the minimum requirement, but they didn't even list the minimum requirements.
Thank you.
So this man have been targeted, and this is what it is. Anybody who has
but Dennis, if I may just add one single stuff to this. I think auditing, like I think Victor mentioned that audit of this nature, particularly central bank, has different departments. Central bank drives the monetary policy. So if you're going to audit, and for the period they're talking about, that period, Nathaniel Richie was also then governor at some point, right? Then after, I think Nathaniel Pritchie. After Pritchie, then Petra, right? Okay, so there were that period where you have two different governors. So to say from 2018 to this period, at some point Tadu was not even there to hold him, and you allow the two deputies to say the two deputies can go.
Maybe they finished with them. Maybe they answered their question already. We don't know.
No, you can't assume. No, you can't.
No, I said maybe.
You know what? It's a management team, because when you audit, there are different things that are happening in different departments, and the auditors looking at source document and they write. So the one response from the auditee, the management comes together and make a reaction to the audit.
Right.
Because the audit comes with recommendations. So recommendation 1, the management team will say, this is our
No,
responsibility.
but we're not there yet. We're not there to that recommendation side. They're still going through.
No, but I think, I know the president has the power, but just in the light of what is happening with turning position, they are at the Supreme Court and what have you, I think the government is just trying to find another way to get people out of it. By saying,
let me go to Mr. J. Victor Namwe.
Move the person.
Mr. Namwe, the central bank is huge, so I don't know how they're doing it, but let's say if you divide, say, where from April 15, that the deputy office will go to April 16, I'm just saying.
Look, Dennis, first of all, I think this is much to do over nothing, really. I don't even know why this is newsworthy. This thing should
Because they love to travel. Traveling, that's the time you get per diem. So
yeah, but the president has been traveling. The president's traveling. He's been to Ghana. He's been to the Ivory Coast. So what does that have to say about anything? Besides that, officials in his government are traveling. Yeah, he has the right to tell the bank governor not to travel. We get that, but why does he have to be in the press? And I think the reason they are providing is suspect. This is the age of technology. We're interconnected. You can provide any document from any part of the world. You can make yourself available from any part of the world virtually. So all this nonsense about, they're auditing the bank, nonsense. I think the president is showing to be thin skinned now. When you criticize him a little bit, then he's out to get you. We saw that with NASCAR. This is the governor who is on record for contradicting the president in the bank balance that he said we have left him. This is all what this is about. They're trying to slap him across the wrist. That's what this is about, to embarrass him. He could have gone and left a lot of people in charge. They're auditing the bank, not the governor. He doesn't have to be there in person. This is very childish. It's really unnecessary. This man could have been in D.C. and they could have audited him. Besides that, this is where the donors meet. IMF is going to be there. The World Bank is going to be there. Where else to go to make the case for Liberia? For the much, badly needed financial assistance that the country needs. I think stopping this man really is childish. It's nonsense. He could have gone and he could have done what they want him to do in Liberia from D.C. But that is stopping, okay, but why does he have to make the news? What is the big deal about stopping the government? What is it that he would do in Liberia that he can't do from Washington, D.C.? I don't get it. So I think this president really, we're seeing all these little things, they're beginning to appear funny, The woman criticizes Yekeh, Boakai, baby, what does she do? She's in the mansion, come on, man. He has to really do better than this. I mean, where are we going with all this?
Jim Victor, Jim Victor, this epiphany. I mean, I'm shocked that you all of a sudden now you're aware that a president has used, his president has reacted this way. What did George Weah do over 6 years? That's all he did. That's all he did. So he had a
what I got to do with it?
No, exactly. So we got to stop looking in the rearview mirror. We got to.
A Supreme Court associate justice was impeached because George Weah felt that a decision didn't go his way, so he unleashed his minions to impeach a Supreme Court justice. That is more criminal. That is even more criminal than this.
Thank you. Let me go to Mr. CA to have the last word on this. Boakai, Mr. CA.
Dennis,
what do you stand on this?
Hey, Dennis, in all fairness, I think the president is trying to flex his muscle.
That's what it is.
It is within the perimeter where he can flex the muscle professionally, and it would be difficult for anybody to say, oh, this is what you're doing or this is what you're not doing. So this is Boakai at his best, and that's what I see. Any other president can do this, right? But here's the thing. The meeting is from the 15th of April to the 20th, tomorrow the last day. And the bank wrote the president, the central bank governor Atalu wrote the president, hey, there's the IMF meeting, it's the spring meeting. Now you see governors from central banks, Minister of Finance, and all of the parliamentarians and all go there, and there where they discuss. So he wanted to go. The president said, no, no, you're not going. But the other three persons can go. But you can go because we have an audit here that is ongoing, and then we want you to be here to assist. The president, in all fairness, has the power to stop whoever he wants to stop, but that cannot take away what may be his reason for making that decision. And now others reading into it saying that, whoa, this is Talu that said, hey, President Boakai, I was actually right. And in fact, at some point, this guy was conflicted. He couldn't talk straight when he appeared at the legislature, even though there was a statement that said that, Lord, we have said the truth. And so, again, political minds like veteran now we're not saying, hey, this is the president being petty here. This man is being targeted. If what Aliu said is true, that this president is trying to cut on travel as much as possible to save money because we don't have money, then why allow the others to go? Why can't one person go? And if anybody to go, why shouldn't it be Talu who is the head? But why shouldn't it be Talu? That's the question. Why shouldn't Talu go, but others can go?
But Anthony, if you say that everybody in the government serve at the pleasure of the president, then he owes none of us any justification as to
and
why
I
he doesn't
agree,
want him
and
to
that
go.
the president can also abuse that privilege he has. That because no one can ask me questions, I can do whatever I want. And that's what I said. This is Boakai being classical here, and this is with inherent to do whatever he wants. This is why it is. That does not take away if he's targeting this person. I don't know to be true, but it might be.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Friday Night Debate. We are discussing training issue. Another one is this EPS, right? I was talking to a former security officer and said, I mean, there are just too many EPS officers. And they said Boakai didn't play. He put them down. Aliu.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
you wanted to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, this EPS thing, man. I mean, I don't know why, but a lot of them, and then some of them that they put down, they say, we're not letting this, we can go easy.
Well, you know,
let me do
by the way,
for the listening
by the
audience.
way,
hold on. Let the political bulldog lay out.
Yeah.
Okay.
The story reads, approximately 200 officers of the Executive Protection Service, EPS, are reported to be facing termination under the directive of the new director, Sengay. Allegations suggest that these personnel are being let go due to their perceived loyalty to former President George Mane Weah. Go ahead, Aliu.
Who wrote that?
Just give your opinion, my brother.
Let's say it's not true.
Okay, but by
the
the way,
same person who wrote the article have said that President Boakai is right to act, you will be pressing that person. Go ahead. We know those of you support these people. What you guys do? Go.
The bulldog. But anyway, by the way, Dennis never gave a overseer position to a goat where there is cassava leaf. You know, and this is in reference to Victor Nangbe. I don't know who made him political analyst. How can you make an opposition a political analyst? Who made that decision is a bad decision.
No,
But
Aliu,
let
to
me
a
just
point.
say-
No, Aliu, let me hold you to a point. Opposition, whoever you are, you can be political analyst. And you can do your analysis based on your perspective. It's okay. Go ahead, sir. And you know that to be true.
This guy is entertaining. Okay. Anyway, I'll go ahead.
Aliu want promotion. Dennis, Aliu want promotion too. So the way he biased.
Numbers elevation. Go ahead, Aliu.
Okay, that was a group man. You're not doing a good job.
You should be
anyway,
congratulating the veteran.
No, Anna, baby.
You should be congratulating the
I will get people in very safe. You do a full job at it.
Mr. Nagwela, baby.
But let me tell you this, Dennis. I think the amount of EPS officers that were even put down, I think the chief of EPS was very nice.
Wow.
Very nice. I was thinking about at least 500 being put down. Dennis, they do not need no more than 200 people over there. They're well over 900. What are they doing there?
Wow.
What are they? You even saw some of the EPS people today. They asked them simple questions. They wouldn't even understand simple library English. but he had a gun on his side. I mean, what were they doing there? Listen, we need a small government. And just as Boakai said these things, he's going to go by them. It doesn't matter what anybody says. He's going to, the EPS is being nice. Right now, you're talking about 200 and change. I guarantee you, within the next year, there will still be some more cut.
Do you know the criteria of putting those people down?
Well, the criteria of putting those people down is just like the criteria on my job. I used to work at a job. The job got ready one day and said, you know what, they were overburdened. They were not making enough profit. So they were downsizing, and I was one of those. I could have spoke that big English to criteria, but it didn't matter. I had to go home.
That's private company. This is government.
How different does it make?
It makes
Don't make a difference.
It makes all the difference.
What's the difference?
It's not your private company, so you don't.
What is it? What is the difference?
All right. Let me go to Mr. Gaiman. Mr. Gaiman, I mean, yesterday the other day we're doing a show on fire service, and they have like almost 800 fire service. Most of them, they don't even go on the field. They are all in the offices. So, I mean, government is bloated. It will make sense to put a lot of these people there. I think the last time President Weah wanted how many EPS officers
25.
just for him?
25.
Right.
Well, you know, I think this is something that we all agree on, that government is the only employer in the country, no matter who you are. The problem we're having here is you lay off, let's say you got 200, you lay off 200 of the people that you perceive to be loyal to CDC. Instead of saving the money by not hiring or replacing those people, you bring your own partisans in there and replace those people. Now, something that is very comical is Aliu Kamara talking about small government. We just saw a board of directors, Joseph Boakai appointed a board with 47 people on one board.
No way. There's no board with 47 people.
Well, the list that we saw, all the appointments, the assistants and the directors, and there were 47 on that board. There were 32 on one board.
They've gone back to
32, not 47.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about the board, 32 people on one board, and that was just one. And there are several other boards. So what these people do, and they are all guilty. The Joe, people, everybody. When you come in, you have not expanded the economy by investing in the private sector where they can absorb most of these folks. So what do? You have to hire those people who brought you to power. So this is what it is. It is very circular. You can be political all you want. This is what happened from time immemorial when the base of the economy is not increased, where the private sector can help the government. The government is the only employer. This is what it is. You make like this asset recovery. You saw the amount of people. The first appointment where I think there were 20. Okay, this is a new agency that adding onto the government payroll. You adding all the different agencies. You are adding new folks on there. This is nothing new. We don't have anywhere to put these people. These people are loyal to us for the past 6 years. They've been campaigning. We have won. We have to put them somewhere. So what do? When Joe Weah came in, he bloated the payroll. So you take out 200 and you bring your own 200 in. You are not saving anything, and you will say, "Well, we're going to."
Why are you letting the man get away with that stuff? Who bringing 200 in? Who 200 is already bringing in?
Listen, nobody is.
Let it finish.
I'm giving you an example of how it works,
right?
And this is not just Boakai thing or Joe Weah thing. This is how the government works because
the government has worked like that. You put people down, you bring your own people.
There you go. There's no private sector that the hiring. So what do these people do? There's a reason why they camping for you. Some of them put their lives on the line. Is that when you get elected, they will get something. So what do you say? You say we'll put you somewhere, my friend, and they do put you somewhere. So this is something until the private sector can expand, where they can absorb some of these folks. This is a circular thing.
Thank you, Mr. Ducle. Even though you never work in security, you don't look like somebody who
can arrest or Sherry. You can't arrest Sherry. You gotta knock him down and put him behind his back.
What you make of it? One of the papers reporters said the Boakai government lay off 700 people from the executive mansion, including 300 EPS officers. I think that was in another newspaper. What do you make of the EPS and what they are doing now? They are protesting as if they don't understand that when you are hired, you are at the will and pleasure of the person who's hiring you. I mean, what is their point of saying, "Oh no, don't put me down"?
I mean, I know one of the promises that candidate Joseph Boakai made was he was going to curb corruption. He was going to fight corruption, and he was going to try to minimize some of the wasteful spending that we had in the government. I mean, whatever form that might take. I think if the redundancy was to cut down costs or to save money here and there, I can see some reasoning behind that. But you see, the way we have come to do things in Liberia, and the way we have come to normalize these simple bureaucratic processes, it's troubling, because if this exercise is meant to reduce costs, because really in practical terms, I don't think we need that many to begin with. We don't need that many manpower anyways. Besides, we do have the the EPS, we have the LNP, all these men, they're all doing the same thing. They're all law enforcement. So if you have that many, like you said, I follow your show when you talk about the fire service, where you have all these people on a government payroll absolutely doing nothing, just sitting in the offices playing checker or whatever they do. So now the fact that these people are they are rioting because they've been made redundant, it goes to speak to how people look at these jobs to be something that they are entitled to, forgetting to know that they serve at the will and the pleasure of the President of the Republic. So again, maybe the manner in which they carry this exercise might be questioned, but I mean, we don't need that many men or women in that force. I mean, what are they doing anyways to begin with? So I don't know much of the detail in terms of the reason behind why they were let go. But I mean, I think if from my perspective, if this is going to save the government some money, it's no wonder why 50% of our budget is spent on salaries. At the expense of other badly needed programs in our.
Mr. Ducle, for you to close, if you can hear me, Sam Gay, who is the director, has defended the termination, stating that the aim is not a wish on, but rather to ensure the professionalism and adequacy of the EPS staff. Gay emphasized the importance of having well-trained and qualified individuals in the EPS, pointing out that the General Auditing Commission had also raised concerns about the qualification of some officers during the audit. And finally, those who were deemed unqualified to provide VIP protection will be removed, and those we have vetted and declared qualified will be retained and sent for training at the police academy. So basically, he's saying, well, we look at these people, those who don't qualify, who can provide any VIP protection, we'll get rid of them. Those who have some training, we'll send them to the police academy for training. So in essence, he's saying they are weeding out the unqualified and maintaining the qualified and send them for further training. That's the justification.
Yeah, but I mean, now who does that fall on? I mean, who hired them in the first place? Did they just suddenly realize that these people are now qualified?
The new sheriff is in town, Abu.
No, I mean, Dennis, this you see, it speaks to the entire system in which these people exist. So, like I was telling you earlier when you were talking about the fire service, I think a couple of days ago, so it's just now suddenly it's coming to our attention that all these people are not qualified. You know what? If you're really going to go by that metrics, I don't think 1/3 of the civil servants in Liberia are qualified to do the job they've been hired to do.
I would agree with you. I don't know when last they even had any training.
So I mean, why now suddenly that they
we
audited
gotta-
and then 700 through the audit they were able to figure out a 700 were now. What is that? I mean, did they just suddenly realize that?
Yeah,
Pardon
but if I can contribute to this,
Yeah, I want you to come in.
Guys, hear what I will say. You know, I think part of the picture I see here is, you know, process matters. The way you go about doing something is very important. We all have concern about overall, you know, bloated payroll, too many people working for government, the wage grade is high. I mean, we get that. And the wage building get high by accident. This is a reflection of our crisis. The different interim governments, the different warring factions, when they took power, they brought in their supporters. There was no procedure. So in post-war Liberia, that's how the government agency have been starved. And I have personal experience when I went to the Ministry of Labor as Assistant Minister for Research and Statistics. And I saw all the staff that I have to supervise, all of them had statistician at the card. And I was not a statistician. At the time, I have just degree in math, you know, and background in public health. That's what I had. So, and I said to them, I'm not a statistician. How you guys, I'm going to supervise you and you're a statistician. But they didn't even know how to calculate. Even if those that knew how to calculate mean, they could not interpret what it means. You use mean for income or use median for income. Why you use median? You talk about median income and not average income. I mean, all these things, they didn't know. I have to put in more time to train. But I could understand how they got there. If you go to the civil service, now I'm going to say this thing to you, Dennis, I'm not going to take more time, but we need to understand this thing because I'm taking time to follow the process. Ask anybody, FOL can send a correspondent to the civil service agency. In fact, your own man is sitting there, even though I don't agree with this. You can only sit on the platform with people who are director general. So if you send someone there, they under the civil service standing order, the way people get hired in government is for you to go and take a test and be classified. The job comes with classification, and the agency must announce vacancy for, say, Ministry of Labor or Ministry of Finance. Then CSA should make an announcement that we have zero vacancy and a Ministry of Test, and people take tests and they pass it. But I think DFID, the British assistant program, was involved in CSA reform way back in the 70s. They have one old booklet that is there. That one is still there. They never updated that test. You go there, they have photocopied that thing over and over. And people in CSA, they do take this thing and sell it to people who are coming to take the test. That's how way to do little corruption.
Dennis, 1 minute. One minute. Mr. Gonglo. No, the man already done.
No,
this thing you lay out like this. This thing you lay out like this. All that is happening now is that you have a government that has come to put things in proper perspective.
Yes,
now I put a general question out there. Is it wrong?
I think the way they're going about is wrong.
He said
how are they going about it?
Even in this country, you give notice to someone. Like I listen to some of the guys when they appear in the studio. They said they never give them notice. In fact, they have not taken pay because the budget is still in a draft form. The budget has not passed, so they have not taken pay. So if you notify them that, listen, we are about to retrench or the agency is going on in the next 2 months, you serve the people notice that you're going to be doing this. You don't come to work in the morning like Cornelius Clark did to 700 or Ministry of State employee, according to them. I mean, that she just called them that thing.
There was notice for people to come
All right.
and identify themselves.
Let's not go through the dialogue. Let me go to Mr. Gonglo, please.
There is a process to get rid of people in government. I'm not talking about private sector, but in public sector, there is a process. The person can just come to work and say, go home. No, you don't do that. You have to go through the process. You have to give the person notice, notify them.
You haven't been following the news.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let
me go to
all the news. They didn't give them notice.
I've not spoken for a long time.
Hold on, because Isma was not here. So let me give Mohammed and then Isman. But by the way, tomorrow, join me. We'll be interviewing the Director General of the CSA, Kalebo. You brought this. Joseph F. Boakai will be our guest.
He said you can
we'll have a one-on-one.
Who are not Director General.
I mean, that was a specific instance he was addressing. Don't make a broad statement like that, Kalebo.
I think that was an arrogant statement, though.
No, yeah, because somebody they called the man for interview. The interview became very chaotic. They were arguing instead of talking. Then
the way to address it is to say, if you invite me, give my time. Or don't say bring someone at my level. I think
he said, anyway, I'm not going to defend Mr. Sharif. EPS thing, and briefly, we are not going to cover all our topics. If you are just joining us, we're going to bring in our callers very quickly. But Mr. Sharif, your comment on the EPS?
Yeah, I think me personally, there's a way in which you do this. For example, I mean, if you're getting rid of, for example, director generals and ministers and whatnot, that is different from to me, low to medium income individuals. I think that when you are doing this, I think there should be some kind of exit ramp for these people. Remember now, we're talking Liberia, we're talking Africa, where you may have one person who has maybe 10 to 20 dependents on this one employee. So if you multiply this, let's just say on an average, each has 10 dependents, right? So on an average, so you're multiplying this by 200. This is a lot. So to me, the way you do this maybe is you retrain some of these people and deploy them in different sectors. For example, can some of them go to the rural area and teach in the rural areas? Can some of them work on the road project? You know, now that you have, these yellow machines on the road in different places, can you deploy some of them in those areas where they're still productive to the country and they can still earn income for themselves and their family members? So I do have some sympathy for people in this kind of, at this level of the public sector than say a minister, right? I mean, minister, director.
Mr. Sharif, and that's why when we get to Sino as superintendent, these people will come there, and I'm really talking to depopulate West Point because we're going to create that place in the southeast. We don't even have to come to Monrovia.
Right, you don't even have to come. Look, how about the land out there, a whole big agriculture sector where some of these people can be productive in producing around around those kind of sectors. So I think that there's a way.
I want you to speak like CEO. We will create incentives for the people to move.
Right, yeah. We will incentivize people leaving West Point to go to the Sino.
There you go. So you incentivize those kinds of things rather than people sitting in Monrovia. If you incentivize that, if you make it in such a way that people are able to leave the capital and go to the interior and work, you put them to work, productive work. I think that you'll be doing well for the country.
But Mr. Sherry, what the EPS people are doing is I'm entitled. This is my entitlement. There was a time that the University of Labrador was getting rid of a lot of people. So the president, I think it was Dr. Sayon, he said, the people came through the window to enter LU, we're going to put them out through the door. Right. So sometimes the way some of these people were hired, and as the director general said, some of them are not qualified. So we got to let them go.
So the way you do it then.
The point is that people have been hired since case.
Exactly.
So
So
if you target one group in that way, that's unfair.
Which
Yeah,
group?
so-
When you say
Other
one group,
ministry, even the Ministry of State, that's how many of the people got hired.
yeah.
People
So
held
if you do,
their hands, just brought them. They didn't
if
take
you do it,
seriously.
Jimmy.
if you do it that way, I mean, a lot of people came in, the wrong way. But then what you want to do is to fix it. You want to retrain some of these people and deploy them elsewhere. Some of them have other talents and skills now. You deploy them elsewhere where they're still productive and still earning something for themselves and their family members. And heck, they may be paying taxes. I don't know how much taxes people pay in Liberia now. So you want to, that way you increase your tax base and grow the economy.
They will join me at the port of Greenville. We're going to
There
have
you go.
Jimmy.
Yes. I think I agree with some of the gentlemen here. We have to offer them an alternative. Okay. Well, however they got there, they are there now. They are Liberians, and we have to care for Liberians. Let's offer an alternative to these people so that they will have an opportunity to make a living. I think a lot of this falls back on our failure to create jobs. So that's why we see the government is fat, is overstaffed, simply because we did not create enough opportunity for our people to go to. So just by laying these people off, it looks like a witch hunt. It will come back and bite you. Offer them another opportunity to do something else with their time. Be more empathetic with them, regardless of how they got on the payroll. We need to treat them like Liberians, and we need to care for them. I don't believe in the way that you're treating these Liberians. What's going to happen? The next administration will come and will repeat the same thing. We've seen this before. We have to stop this retribution. Every single time administrations change over, we find all kinds of things going on. We have to have better continuity. We have to treat each other as brothers, regardless of our origin, regardless of our political orientation or anything else. It has to stop.
Thank you.
But Jimmy, you can't characterize this as retribution.
and Mr. CA, Mr. Namwe,
I mean,
you don't think that retribution?
Because this is not happening in. And I'm very careful with my word that it's not happening in isolation. There are other things that are happening elsewhere, and so when they see these things, they say, "This look like it." You have like 11 or 12 cases at the Supreme Court now for the same job issue. So if this thing is happening at the EPS, people say, "Well, I mean, we saw people in EPS uniform with CDC T-shirts with guns, right? We saw that during the campaign." And all kinds of things have been happening. So when these things start to happen, people are, kind of referring to those kind of areas, and they are drawing these conclusions. Bottom line also is we just used to people not treating us fairly. People lying to us. So sometimes even when some good things are done, we are thinking that it's bad. Mr. C, Mr. Number, 30 seconds each, and let's bring in our colors.
Okay.
Mr. Nowhere, let me go for you the big brother, because when you speak, I will have nothing. My mind small, yours is big. You are a veteran.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, man.
Honestly, this is a government that came to rescue. I mean, I'm not sure if Joseph Boakai said, "Well, I'm going to rescue some people." He came on a rescue mission. This country in distress. You're talking about the country. You're talking about the people. That includes your citizens who are employed in the government. If these people are not qualified, there should be a responsible process that you use, all right, to correct the situation, and not in the manner in which they are doing it. Another thing is, if you think they're not qualified, are they qualified for someplace else? I think there got to be a better way to do it. I don't think this is how you rescue people. That's all I was saying. I'll give the rest of the time to focus on Liberia, esteemed political analyst.
It's no matter what Aliu says.
Aliu thinks,
I'll wear my badge proudly. But listen, I couldn't agree with you more. The way they're doing it, it smacks of unprofessionalism. It just smacks of revenge and wish on them. What is this whole thing about, dismissal in mass, right? They dismiss so many people at the Ministry of State. Now this, I mean, like you're saying, they could have asked these people to reapply and quietly, screen their papers and whatever it is. But the way they're doing it, really, it just looks again like it is politically motivated. So now these people are making a stand. I understand that some of them are still armed. They still carry their arms. They did not take the arm from them and they dismissed them. Now they're threatening to make a stand. I understand that it was pretty tense in Monrovia yesterday. So I'm not going to say more, but I agree with Mr. C and even Mr. Eastman here. There's a better way they could have done it. The way they did it is smacks of disrespect, it smacks of revenge, it smacks of wish on. They could have quietly done this thing, like I said, actually put a reapply and you reevaluate. Maybe some of those people are very qualified, but the way they're doing it, I don't know, but it doesn't look right. That's all I got to say about that.
All right, before you close, I just wanted to say.
Well, I'm not closing. I want to bring in one. We have one caller.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick comment here. If they're going to let them go, I mean, wouldn't they be given some severance?
No.
Or are they just going to let them go and that's it?
That's it.
The people, I think they owe them.
They don't have money. The government
the supplementary people at the Ministry of State.
If that is the logic, then I think that exercise should be extended to almost all the government agencies.
Watch and see.
Thank you. Let me bring in our Unity Party supporter, Mr. Flomo Livingstone. Flomo.
Yes. Mr. God, thank you, and thank you to the founders. I mean, great show. I'm listening. Look, yeah, bro, I believe a lot of founders. I mean, I thought we really want that go to move forward.
Yes.
So the president is doing the right thing, and now we criticize him, he's doing the wrong thing, removing all people from the payroll. The same people, if the president doesn't do it, that's what the payroll is good at. Why the president is not removing people out of audit time. The GSC has done the audit, and the president is doing the implementing what the GSC report says. And now we are here criticizing them or doing what the president is doing. I highly support what the president is doing. So if you're not qualified to remove you, you're not going to carry to somewhere else. If you want to carry to another department, in case there's someone that will already qualify for that position, they should remove them and put them there. No. If you're not qualified, they remove you. Go do other things. Go do farm. Go to the insurance. Do farming there. The president is doing the right thing. It's not a vision. They're doing it to every sector. They're doing it to every sector. So it's not just the EPS that's doing that. And the same thing is the CSA boss was saying it on one of the networks. About 9,000 plus gold lane on the payroll during the previous administration. Just sitting there and collecting money for free. You can tell me I'm not crazy. Just sit there and don't work and then you just get money like that. No, we shouldn't be doing that. The 9,000 plus up to now, they have freed their pay and no one is able to come up to say, I have not get my pay. Because they have gold lane and people just sitting and collect money. Like Mr. Chai said, I know to the fire service, I know 300 people there. Why? Why are they doing that and they're getting paid? You only got one fire truck and you got a 200 plus people working there and getting free money. No, life is not free. You have to work for it. They don't work for it. I believe that you put most of them put down. If the cost you only get 300 fire workers services, that's okay. Just sitting on all getting free money. That's not life. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
One fire truck, 700 people.
That's a good thing as long as they are not robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Lord.
Well, gentlemen, those are all the callers we have tonight. Time is fast spent, so we have two more issues. I want to split the panel into two so that you can comment on one each. Right? Let me start with this story. 3 committees of the Liberian House of Senate have launched an investigation into the awarding of several contracts by the Ministry of Public Works for road construction projects. Concerns have been raised regarding alleged non-compliance with the Public Procurement and Concession Commission, PPCC law, and expenditure without budgetary approval. That's one story. Well, so let me start with Mr. Eastman. He said, okay. Well, you give a contract to people, and people brought this up in the Senate.
Listen,
including Mr. McGill.
we need to. I hope I understand this question properly.
All right, so let me continue. Senator Nathaniel McGill of McGibby, joined by Senator Abraham Darius DeLong Monserrato, Simeon Taylor of Grand Cape Mount, and Bezonga Finlay, penned a letter to President Pro Tem Yombly Kanga Lawrence. The letter highlighted a significant concern regarding 21 million contract awarded by the Ministry of Public Works.
Yes, very good. You know, I find it very strange that of all persons, Senator Nathaniel McGill is concerned about awarding contracts to builders. When
even the broken clock can be right twice a day, Mr.
when during his administration, he was accused of even having a share in one of those companies that were awarded those contracts. And I noticed that he's picking keen interest. You know, the things that have been going on in our country, it needs a lot of addressing. I agree. But let's examine those contracts that were handed out for that Roberts Field Highway. And we will find you may find a lot of skeletons in that closet. But the thing is, if we're not going to make a clean sweep, if you're going to be partial, then it will continue. We have to be very impartial when we administer justice and provide services for our people. We can't be playing like we're doing something innocent at the same time we know we're not. Those people who are making that noise do not have clean hands. And so
what does it matter if the issue they are raising is legitimate? I mean, what does it matter whether their hands are clean or they got oil on it? I mean, what does it matter? Are they wrong?
Okay, so what you're telling me? Okay, I threw a rock in that man's house, but today he come to me and he broke my fence. Then I want to say, oh, the man broke my fence. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but when I was throwing the rock, I forgot. I didn't think it was going to happen. No, we need to correct all the wrongs and not be partial about it, unless it will not straighten the country.
Right. If you went to River G, they will tell you Moko Amure. Who died? I mean, wake up. So what's your point? So if McGill was dead and now he's alive, glory to God. What's wrong with it?
Even Jesus Christ resurrected.
Mr. Sharif, I know you heard the Kalipo people saying that.
Yeah. So Dennis, look, I'm with Jimmy on this, right? So the thing about this whole thing, and I like this whole idea of this rural rehabilitation project. So the fact that these projects are going on, it's a good thing. And so you want to hold this up in some kind of a bureaucracy to create all these bureaucratic bottlenecks. So for the last 6 years, what has McGill done? Right? They're the reasons why these roads are in the conditions that they're in. McGill and others are the reason why these roads are in these conditions. So yes, I would say they're wrong, because if they're looking for kickbacks for themselves, so that's all this is. That's all it is. It is not in the interest of the Liberian people. It's about what kickback they're going to get. It's what they're going to get for their own. Keep in mind, these senators they're running their own private companies as well. You just heard Jimmy say it. Okay, and we've heard this time and time and again. They're running their own businesses. They're lawmakers and they're running their own businesses, and they don't see anything wrong with that. So no, I like what the administration is doing. Go on with this road project. They've been there for 6 years. They were there for 6 years, and the roads were rotten. Rotten mess. So now we are where we are, and they're going to find a way to stop this. You know what? If they stop this project, if they stop these projects, the Liberian people should be outraged. How many times?
I don't think they are stopping. They say, how were the contracts awarded? Why can't we, people be transparent about that? You can still. MPW did not follow the procedure.
Yeah, you can still know how they award it, but let the projects move on. Let the projects keep going. You can't stop these projects.
Thank you.
You know, you can't stop these projects. I mean, a whole bunch of corrupt people get together. They want to find out all of a sudden. These guys are all corrupt.
Dennis,
Tell
I'll
me.
let you go here. Comrade
Yeah,
Cherry, you know, it's like you are saying, this woman is so beautiful, so no one should ask question, where is she coming from? I'm gonna marry her.
That's
You know,
different.
you are so happy about this road project, and everyone should be happy about it. So you are saying, well, in as much as this problem that we have for years and years is being solved, I don't care how it's being solved, because there's so much good that's going to be done if the roads are fixed. So I don't care the process. I don't care where the money coming from. I don't care if the right thing is being done in getting the money and getting the job done. That's what I'm hearing from you. And what these senators are saying, irrespective of whatever roles they play in the past, whatever they involved in with corruption, they are saying this government said they will be transparent. It is in their 100 days deliverable. They are saying, at least tell us, where did you get the money from? We have a system of government. Before the executive spends money, it must be approved by the legislature. There's a way to do this. You negotiate with the senator and say, look, we made a promise to fix these roads in 100 days. If we go through the normal legislative processes, we will not get it done. So, Senator, here's the deal. We have this money. Can you approve it? Having this legislature, isn't this legislature known for approving anything at 5G speed? They can do it. So they could have reached out to them. They should. These are laws. These contracts, they must put them up for bidding. They should go through the PCC process. You know, and this is Unity Party that created the institution. All right, that there should be a bidding process. You can do it and get these road projects done. To say that because the woman is beautiful, I don't want to know where she's coming from. I'm going to marry her. At the end of the day, you get to know she's building Sudan. You want to run from the house, you will have yourself to blame at the end of the day.
Hey, man, why you taking us back to business?
He got for the side. He got all kind of power.
Thank you. We'll go to the next issue, and that is about the motorcyclists, right? The government, through the Labrador National Police, is expected to declare Monrovia and other parts of the country a no-go zone for commercial motorcycles riders. But the aggrieved motorcyclists stormed the Capitol building, and guess who they were looking for? Mr. Yekeh and Safoko to be on their side, requesting the lawmakers to intervene and discourage the government from initiating such a plan. So the motorcyclists are saying, government first is saying, we're going to declare some part of the capital city, Monrovia, that we don't want to see motorcycles there. Motorcycles say, you can't do this to us. Yekeh, please come help us.
They're taking our daily bread from our mouth.
Right.
This is how you rescue us. Go ahead, gentlemen.
And Mr. Nambuya was coming to you first. I mean, what do you make of this? Well, because sometimes is this a band-aid solution, or what is the problem that first of all the government is trying to solve? We've been crying about this, but is it going to solve the problem here?
I think they intend to solve a problem. I mean, I was in Monrovia in January. We all go to Monrovia, but the motorcycle, they can be a menace. The way they run in and out of traffic. So, but they do serve a purpose. Right now, because of the difficulty implying the side roads and all of that, so they do serve a purpose. They go in the little corners that the vehicles cannot go in. So I think, I believe the government is trying to tell them to remain in that territory, the sideways, and get off the main road. And if that is what they're trying to do, I haven't seen the order yet. So if that's what they're trying to do, I think that's a good thing. They need to confine them to specific areas to operate. But the bigger problem here is, I think the president who left the office, the mansion, he is the one who created this problem. He started pandering to these people and made them a constituency. And, the young people, and they constitute the majority voting bloc now in the country. But yes, I think if the government is trying to make, for the sake of safety, and they're trying to confine them to certain areas, I think that's a good thing. I hope, Yekeh and Safoko will see the logic in that and let them understand that, yes, you can serve in this part of the town or country, let them help us with the side roads, take people in the corner and all that, but they need to get them off the main roads. They don't belong there. They are a hazard. They don't follow any traffic rule. I've seen them run through the red light. You go right on JFK 24th Street there. You're standing waiting for the traffic. They just come and weave and go, and and it's very dangerous. I've seen them fall. One of them, a couple of them have hit my car while I'm sitting in the car, and they try to blame me. They don't obey the traffic rules. Yes, and people getting hurt. So they don't wear helmet. They no safety. So those are issues. But primarily, I think they need to get them away from the cars. I think they are really posing a lot of danger to traffic.
Mr. Kamara.
Yeah, Dennis. Listen, Dennis.
Are you suggesting I was not listening?
No, not that. I'm really enjoying this shit.
Why he got on hat? So we'll know that he's for Boakai or what?
Yeah,
this is red. This is not green. But look here, Mr. Sonny. Look, Dennis, if we must develop this country, emotion and sentiment will not help. The right thing must be.
Band-aid solutions too will not help.
No, when you say band-aid solution, it just depends on how you're understanding the solution or how you're preempting the solution. Now, what this government has vowed to do, Joseph Boakai said, and I will paraphrase, I want to bring a responsible leadership and set this country on track and turn it over to the young people. Joseph Boakai will never be successful if he will listen to Brother Jimmy, the Liberian people too, they get to eat food, or to listen to Brother Sherry doing his mathematics, 1 person at 200, multiplied by whatsoever. We're not getting there. Let me tell you, at this executive mansion, State Presidential Affairs, they gave 2 months grace period. It was announced on the news. We have done our internal audit, and there are over 700 people who are on something called supplemented account, which is illegal under the law, under the budget law. In any case, we just don't want to get rid of you. Come and identify yourself.
We talk about
cyclists. Motorcycle,
I'm coming there. I'm just laying the premise. If anybody can go around and push you,
go ahead, Aleo. You're protected.
All right.
He's lost.
Yeah. So what is happening here is I listened to the police director for operation, deputy police director for operation. He clearly stated that a lot of things are in the pipeline to create sanity in Monrovia and its surroundings. But they have had numerous of complaints against motorcyclists, especially going towards Central Town. People's vehicles are being scratched. And if they drive recklessly and get in front of you, you hit them, a group of them gang together and burn your car. There's been a lot of violence. So those parts of the city that have more concentration of vehicles, let the motorcyclists stay away from those sides of the city. From here to BA Junction, you can go to Rawafi, you can go to 72nd using SKD Boulevard, you can use the Somalia Drive. There are many other places where you can run. If you're living in the single area, just roll around your community, 12th Street, 16th Street, 14th Street, in the corner, just don't come on the main street. What is wrong with that?
Okay.
What is wrong with that? So listen, it will be bitter. It will be sour. Before Muammar Gaddafi took Libya to the point where he would give $50,000 to newly married couple, before he took his country to where every non-employed Libyan would make at least $500 a month salary, before he took his country to where he put everybody on free health insurance, people cried. It was bitter. In fact, his own uncle was killed by him.
I get the drift.
So these things must happen.
I get the drift. And we are hoping that that same drive will be for the garbage.
That doodle talking Maggie.
Mr. Gaiman.
This one is, like we say, it's an administrative one, and I think the the administration needs to be very careful, because what the folks are talking about too is the hypocrisy. It was the same motorcyclists that 5,000 motorcyclists were driving and taking Joseph Boakai and Koluba everywhere for the Unity Party to have them elected. So they are saying, if it were wrong then, okay, you supported it. We supported you. You didn't see us doing anything wrong when we were taking people from everywhere, taking them to vote, taking them to the poll, doing all of these things. So these are the things that we are talking about. And like the old folks say, a child that says the man will not sleep, that child too had to stay up all night. The Liberian police force, for what I understand, a total of 4,000, including personnel. Now you got over 20,000 motorcyclists. So how do we now police? Do we have enough police officers to be chasing these people all around? In Florida here, we had a lot of deaths with the motorcyclists. So what did they do? They didn't just come out and ban them. The House got together, they brought city planners and everybody. They said, you know what we're going to do? We are going to create a separate lane only for motorcyclists. It may not be as wide as the car, but it will go the same direction. So all motorcycles will be in that lane, go in the same direction. Those were to mitigate. So public policy folks should be thinking. We are talking about maybe thousands of these folks. They can be ministers of society. They can be ministers of the administration itself. So what we are trying to avoid here may backfire in other ways. So the administrator should be thinking on what would be the alternative for these guys. How do we accommodate them, accommodate those who are providing the needs? So it's not as simple as Mr. Aliyu is saying here. This is a very quick.
Thank you.
Thinkers need to think about the process.
Aliyu, don't laugh. That is very true. Sometimes we need to think things through, because every time we are just these knee-jerk reactions. President Salih did the same thing. What happened? Right? So we always bend without really thinking through what the problem the motorcyclists are, trying to solve. What is it? And how do you solve that same problem when you take them out of there? Well, what is different from Central Monrovia and Cinco or Red Light? So what issue can happen when motorcyclists ride in Monrovia compared to riding in Pittsville? So it's something that needs to be well thought out and come up with something substantial that will address the problem. That's what I think. Boakai, what do you say?
Well, with the broken transportation system we've got, they've now become an essential part of that, where their services are needed, despite the recklessness with which they ride their motorbikes. So I think they can be regulated, just like the motor vehicles that ply our streets, and violators should be dealt with just like they would deal with any infraction a driver makes. So, and if you look at the demographic of those who are part of that community, that demographic of people, they usually refer to them as former soldiers who fought the war, and then they were made, they had nothing to do after the war had ceased. So you also have to take the security aspect of that into account when you're dealing with them. So I think this idea of limiting them to a certain part of the city, it's not going to work, because there are people who needing their services almost everywhere. So one of the ways should be to, enforce the traffic rules that we have on the books. Just like any vehicle will be dealt with if they violate the traffic laws. Because I know it's not, and it's not. Sometimes people would like to be dismissive of these guys, and I don't think we should, because we need to acknowledge the service that they provide. We need the service that they provide, with the kind of transportation system we have now.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all of you for the views expressed tonight. Definitely, those views your view, not that of FOL. Appreciate it. At this time, we're going to go around the room with 30 seconds each for your closing comment. We want to do this within the next 8 minutes. Let me start with Mr. Nabwe. Your closing, sir.
Thank you very much, Dennis, and my fellow panelists. Thank you very much. It's an opportunity whenever we come here, you give us the opportunity to express ourselves, see how we can contribute to what's happening in Liberia. So it's cherished. We started with I got on and I met you guys. You were discussing the Coloba situation, and I think we all agree here to a large extent that he needs to temper his speech. He is an honorable man, and he is an unintentional role model. I don't know if I should put it that way. Whether he likes it or not, he's the people who will follow him, copy him. That's just a fact of life. So he wants to take care to project an image that is worthy of emulating by our young people. But he's serving a purpose as well. Unfortunately, he is calling out those things that many people are uncomfortable calling out, and so he should be able to do that, but do it responsibly.
Thank you.
As the bank governor, I still maintain that I don't see what the big deal is really. I think he should have gone for the conference. I think it would have served a better purpose there in DC. Rubbing shoulders with the big bankers as opposed to sitting in Monrovia, where he might not even be required to do anything. Whatever he's doing in Monrovia, he could have also done it from DC. So I maintain that. I didn't have a chance to contribute to the public works. I know it's 30 seconds, but I think
right.
First of all, the minister he started spending before the budget was even approved. Who does that? So this recklessness is all over this government, and they're unable to rein him in. Of course, we know he wanted to overzealously trying to deliver on the 90-day promise or whatever that is, but you can't do that. So that is wrong. Then he didn't even go through the bidding process. That too was wrong. So, but thank you very much. I will not be able to touch on the other issue, but look forward to being back here again. It's a great time whenever I'm here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You can join us on Point Sunday at 4 p.m. where more political issue will be debated. Mr. Dukley, your closing.
Yeah, I want to extend my thanks and appreciation to all the panelists. It's been a spirited debate, and Dennis, all the issues that you raised today were all issues that we've dealt with in one way or another in the past. But you see, I just wanted to focus a little bit more on the investigation the House has taken up over the road. I think there's nothing new there. What you saw there is what that has been business as usual as we know it. So there's really nothing new there. Saying that they violated the PFM rules and regulation and the PPCC. Is it not the same body that we were told that almost 90% of the concession agreement that were signed were all illegal? Have we forgotten that? These are the same people. This is the same body that carry on these concession agreement on behalf of our country. So it just makes me skeptical more about Joseph August's ability to fight corruption. And for me, speaking about Coloba, I think it's about time that he should be reigning, because he's bringing a disrepute to that house, to that honorable house, where his
more than the bribery allegation.
I mean, yes. Again, you can't minimize that, because bribery is all part of the cancer that is eating our country, part of the corruption. So, picking on insulting and abusing or causing people, It doesn't make it any less of an offense to compare it to corruption. No, I get that, but it speaks to the broader picture, to the bigger picture, where everything, every aspect of our government, our social life, our community lives, we have now come to normalize all the things that shouldn't be normalized. And so when somebody does something right, it sounds so strange to us. I mean, since when? I know when I was growing up, you couldn't yell at somebody that was a day older than you are.
Mr. Duclo, you have 30 seconds over.
Yeah, so really, I'm just glad to be
Yeah,
part
let me go. I gotta go.
On panel tonight. Thank you, Dennis.
Where you going?
Thank you. Aliyu, go ahead. Your 30 seconds.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Dennis, I will start with I think Yekeh Kolba should be expelled. We appreciate
He
the
was
decision.
elected. How do you expel him?
I think he should be
I mean,
expelled.
The people of District 10 should expel him, or what do you mean?
Well, I mean the House. They should expel him in the House. There are rules, standing rules that he has been violating since he's been there, from the CDC administration till now. I wonder how he feels. He has a daughter.
So he should no longer be representative because of
Then every time you cut me, you start my tower.
No, because I'm not understanding you.
We're not doing monologue. We're not doing
suppose the rule don't cover expulsion, then they just expel him.
We're not dialoguing right now. I'm closing. Let me close. I can go.
I want to understand clearly.
Let me
I'm doing this for my viewers to understand your point.
The viewer heard me when I said Yekeh Kolba should be expelled, and we already laid this in the discussion as per his attitude. So he should be expelled, and we embrace the decision by the president to keep the central bank governor in the country. Now, this is what I want to say to our people, whether it's motorcyclists, whether it's EPS, whoever. Listen, the right thing has to be done. Unfortunately, there has to be some collateral damage. The decision by the police, we stand by it. We hope they enforce this decision. In fact, I heard him say that all of the parking stations, including Macklin Street and other places, are going to be removed. There should be no parking station in Central Monrovia. And I respect this decision. Look, my people, in order for our country to move forward, we must do the right thing. We will hear these pundits. We hear these political, quote-unquote, analysts. We will hear all of them. But I want this government to stay focused, stay at the mission that it has endeavored upon, and make sure to achieve its goals, regardless of what critics say. Thank you so much for having me.
You know, when we're in church, we used to sing a song, "If Jesus said it, I believe it. His words cannot lie. They are written in the Bible. I believe it till I die." Now, Aliyu is turning that song into, "If Boakai says it, I believe it."
You see, you guys always go to Boakai. There are other agencies here. They're responsible for what they do.
Because everything that Boakai says is right.
He forced to say he right.
Mr. Sharif, you're closing.
Yeah, so Dennis, we're gonna have to pick. We're gonna have to pick if we want.
How you sing in the Quran?
What's that?
What he just sang? How do you sing in the Quran?
I don't know. I don't think we. No. I don't know. I don't want to lie to you. We don't sing anyway. So, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, Dennis. If we want development, right? So we're gonna have to pick and choose. We're gonna either sit around and watch these people, disrupt the process. These same corrupt politicians. How did Ghana get ahead of us? Okay, Jerry Rawlings Jerry Rawlings here when he started. Okay, he just railroad everybody. Look at Rwanda. They had an atrocious war, a genocide. Okay, look at how they're faring now. So we're going to have to borrow from some of these countries on what they did. Or look at Liberia before. There was a president who was nicknamed Speedy. And, his aircraft was Speedy 1, from what I read, the other day. And so if Boakai is able to copy some of those and do half of that in 6 years, he will be successful. But if I'm Boakai, I'm not sitting around listening to these guys who, who are already, somebody said they're millionaires. No, they're multimillionaires. They're sitting there very corrupt. They don't have anything to do. They don't have any agenda to develop the country. They're the last people that Boakai must listen to. Let these yellow machines continue to run. Let these yellow machines continue to develop. To rehabilitate those roads and clean that mess that George Weah left behind, that muddy mess that he left behind. Anthony is laughing. From Ganta to Greenville to Harper, okay, to Vonjama. So let the machines stay on the road while they're arguing about, all these bidding processes. Right now, we don't have time. We don't have time. Look, we would have been here, Dennis, asking, oh, but what about the 100-day plan? Boakai didn't meet his 100-day plan. Oh, yeah, he lied to the Liberian people. He's actually doing something now. And now we're sitting here saying, oh, yeah, but he didn't do this. What do we want? So the question is, what do we want? And finally, everybody now is violent. Yeah, I understand. Everybody is violent now. Even the motorcyclists, they're saying that they have guns. They're saying, well, if he touch us, we have guns. Yekeh say he has guns and machetes and stuff like that. Where are we going to all of this? Where are we going to all of this? So if we're not careful, all these threats, all these people, there has to be a repercussion. If you make these kind of statements, if you're a lawmaker, yes, something has to be done. You have to be held accountable.
Yeah, Am I wrong to assume that Mr. Sherry is back on the rescue train? Am I?
Mr. Gaiman.
I'm very balanced.
I'm flabbergasted. I'm totally shocked that my friend Mohammed Sharif that have been on this show as the staunch constitutionalist is now saying the rules and the laws should be abandoned and let him just go ahead and do something because it's in the interest of his administration. This is shocking. The president, I know Joseph Boakai has no legitimacy. I told you
I want the people to travel.
Listen, Joseph Boakai has no legitimacy because he promised us he was coming to rescue the country. He was the man of rule of law. Before he took office, he will publish his assets, and everybody else before they took office, they will provide the asset declaration. Today, the so-called integrity institution under Joseph Boakai, nobody has provided, which is the law. It is the law that these people have to provide and produce the asset declaration. None. Why? Because the head, Joseph Boakai, didn't do that until he felt it was feasible. So this is where we are. And for you to have a budget that have not been passed, and you are spending the money that you don't have illegally, it is troubling. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jimmy.
Yes. I know there are several things that the administration is trying to address, but it's very important that they do it in a way that will appear fair and unbiased, because it doesn't take a whole lot to lose your legitimacy. And what I mean, in the eyes of the public, if they feel that you are doing things unfairly and they begin to act in the self-defense and not respect and not regard the laws, that's how you lose your legitimacy. So they have to proceed in a way that is transparent and fair and unbiased, so they do not lose their authority. I think that's the only warning I got for them.
Thank you. Mr. Sia, you have 45 seconds.
Dennis, this is the rescue government now. And I believe rescuing Liberia will include rescuing the institutions. And the government talk about accountability a whole lot and integrity. So I was of the belief that the integrity institutions will be doing better under this administration. The LACC in focus here. What is the essence of this asset declaration? I don't get it. The president declares his asset, he hides it. So how is it different from where? When you are declaring the asset, I thought it's for us to see it so we don't accuse you of amassing wealth tomorrow. And the president's supposed to be the example, but he became a complete replica of President Weah. So no accountability on anyone who failed or in violation of declaring their asset. What is the essence? That institution is not being rescued as dead. The appointment of the ombudsman. Does anyone know that? Anyone here knows that guy? Who he actually is? That name of that appointee alone supposed to send a shockwave that this man is ready for business. But I've been asking, who is this guy? No one knows him. And lastly, will President Boakai at least grant us an interview? A Liberian media person or institution should interview this man, not one of his praise singers. But the man granted BBC an interview. Liberian media is still here. They don't respect us. They do not respect us, but they want us to respect them. When will Boakai grant a Liberian media an interview? This might be the second time you grant an interview to a foreign media. You know why? Their mentality is let beg. Boakai should change that too. I submit.
Yeah, that's
true.
By the way.
Mm-hmm.
That is so true.
Mr. Cummings just granted one to VOA. I hope you have come to everywhere first.
Thank you, Dennis.
After his short sabbatical.
But here's the thing. We reached out to him. He said, well, give me some time. But he didn't tell that VOA, give me some time. Yeah. Sad.
We want to thank all of you for coming. We want to thank our viewers. Always focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. By far, since 1847, this is the best. Have a good night as we end with our song that says, we are all Liberians.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.